normal, you're in equilibrium. Right? There is no entry, there is no exit. But one of the firms made money. For that firm to make money, they must be different. Otherwise, others will have done the same thing. So, if you find a firm in the long run making money, that's different from others. That money they make, we're not going to call it economic profit. It's not economic profit. That's not economic profit. We call that money economic rent. In the long run, there is no economic profit, otherwise others will join in to take advantage of it, right? If you find a firm that makes you money, that's not economic profit because it cannot be replicated. We call it economic rent. There is no economic profit in the long run, but there might be profit that is economic rent, not economic profit. Make sense? You might say this is just playing with others. No, economic profit in the world of economics is something that's available to others as well. Right? It's obviously free entry and exit eliminates it. So if a firm makes money, must have an advantage on capital, labor, technology, or location. There must be different. Right? As a result, we call it economic rent. By definition, economic rent is return to firm specific advantage. So as soon as you say economic rent, everyone knows you have to be different to have it. That's a return to firm specific advantage. You can call it accounting profit too. It shows up on paper. You pay the labor and capital, there's something left. Just don't call it economic rent, because economic profit, because in economics, economic profit means others can replicate. So you can also call it accounting profit. Just don't call it economic profit because that's limited, that assumes it can be replicated, which it can. Okay? Okay. Okay, we're done with the basic. Again, when I do the question, it will be sort of clear. I did a bit of this, I did a bit of this. I'm going to do a bit of this and I do the comparison. You define surplus in AO2 as what you get versus the bare minimum you're willing to get. Make sense? The surplus is anything in excess of the minimum. In the short run, what's the minimum you get to operate? What's the bare minimum you're willing to get to operate in the short run? In the short run, what is the bare minimum you're willing to get to operate?
Marginal cost.
Marginal cost? That's the long run too. Okay, that means you're not wrong, but that if it changes. This is what you get overall when you sell your goods. That's the total revenue. What's the bare minimum you're willing to get to operate? Total cost? No, variable cost, because the fixed cost is sunk. So one way to get the producer surplus is use the aggregate. See how much overall you get, how much you pay the labor. The difference is your surplus. Make sense? You operate as long as this is more than zero. Right? I know in AO2 you got the surplus from the supply. That's what you got. So in AO2 you got the supply from this. P minus MC integrated. That's what you did in AO2. You took the supply, you look at the price, you found this area. You were doing integration there. But since the supply was straight line, you just multiply. Make sense? What is the integration of the price? That's the total revenue. If you integrate this one, you get total revenue. If you integrate this one, you get variable cost. You're right. When you said the bare minimum is marginal cost, at the aggregate, it will become the variable cost. This though, sometimes not doable. That is when you get a supply that looks like non-linear. How do you get this area? You want to get that area? You will have to integrate it. And you don't want to do it. But the first one is always doable. Make sense? Anyway, all the question on it. But the surplus is the bare minimum paid. Anything excess is surplus. You can get it from margins. This is the bare minimum you're willing to get. That's what you get. That's the surplus. If you aggregate it. Or you can get it from aggregates, which is totally minimized. You can also call the producer surplus in the short run variable profit, because that's the profit ignoring the fixed cost. So another name for producer surplus in the short run is variable profit. Then the actual profit is variable profit minus fixed cost. You operate as long as this is not less than 0. Alright, since you don't know the fixed cost, the actual profit can go either way. You operate as long as there's a variable profit, which is not negative, but the actual profit can be anything. You can lose money operate, you can make money operate, or you can make nothing. Either way, and operate. Alright? Okay. Anyway, that is the short run. What about the long run? What's the bare minimum you're willing to get in the long run? That is total cost. There is no fixed cost in the long run. As long as someone pays the cost, you're willing to operate. Right? Anything more, you'll be happy. So the surplus in the long run becomes this one. That is what we call accounting profit. That is what we also call economic rent. So if you get a surplus in the long run, you must be different. That's economic rent. Right? Otherwise, others will come in and drive the price down until that vanishes. Right? In the long run, the surplus is called economic rent, accounting profit. If you have it, you must be different. Right? In the short run, if you have it, you have it to get others can come in. Right? Make sense? Okay. Okay, the next one is a comparison. Short run versus long run. What are the main differences? What's the main difference? Well, obviously in the short run there is fixed cost, in the long run there is none. That's sort of obvious, right? What else beyond that one? In the short run there is no free entry and exit. Firms can't come in, can't leave. No free entry. Exit. In the long run, there is free entry and exit. Right? Make sense? So in equilibrium, in the long run, the profit should be 0 because of free entry and exit. There should be no economic profit. In the short run, the profit can be anything. Because others can come in. Make sense? So the free entry and exit leads to the next one. In the short run, the producer surplus is called. In the short run, the producer surplus is called variable profit. Make sense? Because that is nothing but total revenue minus variable cost. In the long run, the producer surplus is called. What's the other name for it? Accounting profit. Don't call it economic profit. Or economic rent. The better name is economic rent because as soon as you say rent, that becomes firm specific advantage. It must be different to others. It's be signaled by the wording of it. So that's the better name. Outside those, if I want to do more in the short run, to calculate shutdown price, you get the average variable cost equal to the marginal cost. That gives you shutdown quantity. You put it back in the marginal cost to get the shutdown. That's in the short run. In the long run, you put the actual average cost equal to marginal cost, not variable cost. There is no variable cost in the short run. No. That gives you shutdown quantity, and from it you get your shutdown product. That's sort of mechanics of solution. Right? Does that make sense? Okay, that's sort of a comparison between the two. Okay, let's go to some question. I basically set it up, but within the question I'll explain it more. When I go to the question, I'll explain it. competitive equilibrium. That's equilibrium. That's equilibrium. A firm operating under IRS will lose money. True or false? If you have a long run equilibrium where firm lose money, that would be impossible to sustain. So basically this is telling you that IRS does not match with perfect competition. But perfect competition will lead to money losing outcome. So it basically tells you that you cannot have increasing return to scale and perfect competition. That's the outcome. True or false though? Is that true or false? Well, let's see. This is the average cost, well, the average cost and that is the marginal cost. That's a firm. This is where IRS happen, the average cost is falling there. This is DRS, where the average cost is rising. So based on the cost structure, the left is IRS, the right is DRS. Alright? Make sense? The average cost is falling there, and the average cost is rising there. Okay? This is the market. Say that is the demand and supply, that's the price the market gives you. The firm check the price and decide the quantity. That's the equilibrium in the IRS part. That's the IRS part. So the equilibrium happens in the increasing return part of the cost structure. Then that's the average cost though. What would be this one then? What would be this area? That area would be you lose money. If you have equilibrium where the price is so low, right, where the production happens at the IRS part of the cost structure, you're going to end up with the price being lower than the average cost. The firm will lose money. Make sense? So what happened then? If all firms are identical, they all lose money. What happened to them then? They all leave the market. Then one will stand and act like a monopoly. You cannot have perfect competition with IRS. It will lead to monopoly. Eventually, the market will be monopolized because every firm will lose money. They all leave the market. Right? Think about hydro. Hydro is increasing return to scale. That's the reason you have one hydro. Why don't you have thousands of little firms producing electricity? Because the industry is characterized by increasing return to scale. You have to have giant plant to produce electricity. The average cost is far higher than marginal cost. Right? If firm compete, marginal cost pricing means the price will be so low does not cover the average cost. That's the idea. So IRS and perfect competition don't match. It's impossible to have perfect competition when the industry is characterized by increasing return to scale. Right? You would end up with monopoly at the end. Right? Or sometimes oligopoly, but you're not going to have perfect competition. That is true. We'll have more on this when we go to monopoly. Lecture number 10. Okay? Okay, next one. In a short-term equilibrium, producer surplus is economic rent. True or false? False. In the short-run equilibrium, producer surplus is called variable profit. If you want to give it another name, you can always call it producer surplus, but you can call it variable profit too, not economic rent. If you have it, it doesn't mean you're different to have it. You have it because others can't come in. It's free entry and exit, right? So you can have a surplus. Others can come in and take it away. That is false. Third one. In a long-run competitive market with identical firms under constant return to scale, there will be small number of firms. True or false? It basically says if firms are characterized by CRS, the number of firms in the long run will be small. True or false? True? True or false? Okay. If you recall from last lecture, the long run total cost for a constant return to scale will be a Q and a number. The power of Q is 1. Make sense? Remember that? Say it will be 3Q. Say a number multiplied by Q. That's the long run cost. The marginal cost will be, say, 3. That's equal to the average cost. So the supply will look flat. If you have constant return to scale, the supply will be horizontal. What does that mean? It means scale does not matter. It basically means if you produce 1 unit, the cost is the same as producing 1,000,000 units. There is no optimal scale. There is no, go back, there is no point like this. No point like this. That's the optimal scale. The reason you have a limited number of firms, because they should produce at the optimal scale. That's the shutdown price and quantity. That's the lowest point on the average cost. On the average cost. If you're calculated by CRS, there is no lowest point on average cost. The average cost is constant. There is no optimal scale. Since the scale doesn't matter, you cannot identify the number of firms. You can have one firm operating and producing the whole market, or you can have zillions of firms each producing a bit. Make sense? So the answer is that's false. The number of firms cannot be determinants. If you have constant return to scale, the number of firms cannot be determined. The scale doesn't matter. How can you have number of firms identified? The number of firms was identified because we have optimal scale, which led to shutdown price, right? And shutdown quantity. Here there is no optimal scale. The number of firms will not be determined. Think about it this way: if agriculture is characterized by constant return to scale, you can have one farmer producing the whole thing, or zillions of little farmers each producing little. The average cost is the same. What does it matter? Right? Last one. Last one on this front is this one. I should say output elastic cost, so change this one. This is not cost elastic output, this is output elastic cost. Which is what we called EC last lecture, which is percentage change in the cost, percentage change in the output, which was equal to MC divided by AC. It says if this is small, then this should be small. Is that true? That's what the question says. If EC is small, then MC must be small. Is that true? Of course not. It's a ratio, right? You may have MC a zillion, but if AC is 2 zillions, then EC would be small. That's false. Then, if EC is small, what does it mean? If EC is small, that means MC is lower than AC. That means AC is falling. That means the industry is characterized by increasing return to scale production-wise, or economies of scale cost-wise, as we had last section. Make sense? If the cost elastic output elastic cost is small, that means you're characterized by IRS production-wise, ES cost-wise. It basically means your average cost is falling. Okay. That's number one. Number two is a nice one. I'm going to put 3 ticks on it because it asks you to calculate individual supply for 2 set of firms in the short run. So that's numerical calculation of cost in the short run, supply in the short run. Then it asks you to stack it up to get market supply, which we haven't done. Right? We have done market demand. not market supply. So that will be new. But in the market demand framework, we have a kink demand. Because when the price goes down, goes up, some consumers leave the market. Different consumers have different reservation price, as we had in the midterm. Here, if firms have different shutdown prices, it will lead to the same thing. The supply will become kinked, because when the price falls, some firms will leave the market. Make sense? So if you end up with shutdown price are the same, you will end up with a kink supply. That's this exercise. Let's see. That is the first set of firms, that's the second one. I'm going to find the supply for both. I'm going to start from 1. How do you find supply? You put P equal to MC. You identify the shutdown price. In the short run, to identify the shutdown price, you put MC equal to ABC, not the average cost, the average variable cost. That gives you shutdown quantity. You need to put it back in MC to get shutdown price. So I'm going to do this twice for both set of firms. Make sense? I'm going to do this twice. Okay. Let's start for the first one. P equal to MC means this one. Then I just need to identify the shutdown price. And to identify shutdown price, I put MC, that's MC, equal to ABC. That's the variable cost. That's the fixed cost. So I need to take the variable cost divided by Q, that is what I get then. That's my average variable cost. What will be shutdown quantity? What's the shutdown quantity? What is the Q that makes the two sides equal? Anyone? You should say it without calculating. See, these two are the same. Zero. That's the only way you get them equal. Because the other numbers are the same. So put this back into MC. What's the shutdown price? 24. Right? Put it back in MC, get 24. That is my supply for each firm in group number 1. Inverse supply, shouldn't I say supply? Alright? I found the inverse supply. Then I have to flip it to get the actual supply. The actual supply becomes this one. So I found the actual supply, not the inverse. The actual supply for the first group. Right? Okay. I'll do the same thing for a second. That's P, MC is this one. I need to qualify the shutdown price. And for that, I put MC equal to ABC. That's ABC. That will give me shutdown quantity. How much is it? What's the shutdown quantity? 0. Do it again. I put it in MC to get the shutdown price. What's the shutdown price? How much? 80. That is my supply, inverse supply. And then I'm going to flip it to get the actual supply. So I found the individual supply. Then I have to stack them up to get the market, similar to what I did for market demand. Alright? Make sense? Let's get snow next week. Just, I can't stop thinking about it. That's how much I hate snow, right? I like looking at it, but I hate shoveling it. That's the worst thing. Okay. I had driving on it too. So let's stack them up, get the market supply. The market supply will be 50 producing Q1, 50 producing Q2, which is 50 Q1 plus Q2. That's 50, add these two up. I know that will be minus 11. What is P24 divided by plus P8? P24 divided by P8, that is how much? That's P6. That's the sum of these two. So I added these two, this and this. That is when the price is high enough for both to be in. The price is high enough for the both to be in. Q1, Q2 produce 50 each, and I added them up. Right? Make sense? So this is the reverse of demand. The demand when the price goes down, people join in. Here when the price goes up. It's the reverse. When the price drops below 80, still above 24, who's in the market, who's not? Second one leave the market. They need 80 to be in the market. The first one is still in. The demand will be, if supply will be 52, which is 50. P24 minus. That is my kink supply. Kink because there are two different shutdown prices. When the price goes up, you have more firms. When the price goes down, you have fewer firms. Right? Make sense? Okay. So now I have to graph it. Help me out with the graph. The lowest price is 24. That's the lowest price. Anything lower, everyone is up. No supply. The kink is when the price is 80. What's the demand what's the supply when the price is 80? 80 is on both of those lines. So you should get the same number using either one. What do you get? What do you get? If you try either one, you should get the same number. What do you get? Try the second one or the first one, you should get the same number. That is when the two lines cross. What do you get? So that is 116 ohms? 0.67. See, we don't have space, so the graph is obviously just rough, right? We don't have space to put 116. You're not going to get the slopes you want. But this is part of the supply. Thereafter, it gets kinked. You can put a price on it, found it, but the scale is not proper. You don't have a proper scale because there's no space there. Having said that, which one do you think will be the line? This one or this one? Should it be flatter or steeper? The slope will change. That's the meaning of kink. Will it be flatter or steeper? Which one do you think is the case? Will it be flatter or steeper? Which one do you think it would be? I know the slope will change, and we don't have space to actually put it there and fund it, right? The space is not there. We don't have enough scale there. But it would be either steeper or flatter. Which one is it? Which one is correct demonstration? One or two? One or two? When the price goes up, both firms join in. Will we make the graph flatter or steeper? Flatter? That is flatter, that's correct. You should make it flatter. That's fine. The reason is, see, more firms mean more slope. That's steeper, but that is actual supply. You're graphing the inverse of it. When more firms join in, the actual supply becomes steeper. See, this is 24, this is steeper. But that's the actual supply, and you're graphing the inverse of it, which makes it flat. If you want to graph it, make sure it's not steeper. Right? Obviously, you don't have space to graph the exact slope, but make sure you don't graph it this way. You don't graph it this way. That's wrong, right? Make it flatter. Right? Okay. Anyway, you could have though gone there and said, let's put 100 there, find a point and connect them, but there is not enough space there. Sometimes the numbers, there's not enough space, right? So as long as you graph it flatter, that would be good enough. So if I would have graphed it this way, that's why it would have been good. Efficient. I don't have to find a null point and identify it. Right? Okay, anyway. That is question 1. Question 2, I mean. First numerical question, that's a nice one. A version rate is on your quiz, so make sure you try it. Okay, I'll do 3 questions. That's a long run. That's okay, but not the best. Then we're going to do short run. Then we're going to do both of them. This is the better one. So that combines everything, right? So we're going to do one short run, one long run, short questions. Then we're going to do the main one, which is both combined. This is the market. The market gives you an equilibrium. That's the demand. That's the supply. That's the market equilibrium. This is the market. What would be the quantity? What would be the price the market offers? If you put them equal, the quantity will be 28. What would be the price? That's 140 divided by 528. What's the price? 116. That's the market. Give you 116 as a price. This is the firm operating in the market. Right? They take the price, operate on their marginal cost. That is what they have. They're going to produce there, which is how much? That is the equilibrium quantity for this one. How much is it? This is the firm. How much would this company produces? Less than 4. 3 points? 8 around, right? 3.8. This company generates tons of money. They generate lots of surplus. The surplus is that shaded area. How much is that? That is how much this company generates on paper. It generates that surplus. How much is it? 114 multiplied by 3.8 divided by 2. 200? 200, how much? 200? 206? 216. That is that economic profit? It's a long run. Is that economic profit? No. In the long run, there is no economic profit. That's economic gain. So this firm generated it because it was different. It's not like others. We must have economic rand. This here is economic rand, which what the question asks us to find. The reason the company has it because they're different. They have different technology or different labor, different capital, or different location. They're using that advantage to generate money. In the long run, there is no economic profit. If you generate anything, you must be different. It's called economic profit. Make sense? Okay. Question for you now. Before I go to the next one. Can you go there and say, overall supply, which is equal to the demand, is 28. This firm produces 3.8, then I can find the number of firms in the industry. Can you do that? Can you find the number of firms in the industry through the information given? Can you say overall demand and supply is 28? This firm produced 3.8, so the whole number of firms should be whatever it is. Here. Can you say it? You can't, because this firm is different. This firm has economic rent. It was different. Other firms, we don't know about them. Make sense? Since we don't know how much the cost structure of other firms, how much they produce, we cannot say anything. So by looking at this firm that's different, we cannot go any further. So this is not correct, because this firm has economic rent, which would have meant it's different. Right? Make sense? Okay. The government comes in, look at this, lots of profit there. Although this is not economic profit, but it is profit. We can call it accounting profit too. It's on the paper, you pay tax on it. There's a lot of profit there, right? You have it because you're different, but this is still profit. The government comes in, wants some of it, taxes the company. Now the supply is, now the marginal cost is up to this. Make sense? The company will produce less, and the economic rent will fall. Let's see by how much. The company still put this equal to 116, but now the company produces how much? It produces this. How much is that one? That's a new equilibrium for that company. You're finding this one. How much is it? It will be less than 3.8. How much do you get? 1/10. How much? 3.67. That is 3.67. So now the economic rent or accounting profit. Just don't call it economic profit. That should be 116 minus 6 multiplied by 3.67 divided by 2, which is this shaded area. It falls, but there's still a lot of rent. How much is that? You want it to 16, it will be less. How much is it? Is this still 200? 201. So economic rent is not fictitious, it's actual profit, but not economic profit because others can't replicate it. Make sense? Think about it. The company could have I don't want to say right there. The company could have, they have some type of advantage. They could have sold the advantage for that kind of money. They could have sold their technology or their location and got that money. So it's not profit, it's not excessive. They have something others don't have it, that's the reason they generate it. Alright? Okay. That's the long run. This is the short run. You see when I solve it, it looks the same, but the interpretation is the one that matters. Let's solve it. It looks the same when I do it initially, but it will change conceptually when I finish it. That is the market. This is the short run, not the long run. That's the demand. That's the supply. That is the equilibrium in the market. That is the price in the market. What's the quantity? What's the price? What is 192 divided by 0.0384? What's the equilibrium quantity? I think it was 5,000, is it? Is it 5,000? 5,000. What's the price? Put it there, it's easier. Put the quantity there, that's easier. What's the price? 32 or 22? It's one of these two. 22. 22?
No, 32.
32. That is this This is the firm. That is the marginal cost in the short run. The firm takes the price, exactly like in the long run, produces in accordance. How much they produce? How much they produce? You know? How much each firm produces?
It is 22.
22 again? Oh, that's 32, 22. And this company generates surplus. The producer surplus for this company is 32 minus, this was 3.84. 3.84 multiplied by 22 divided by 2. What's the producer surplus for this company? How much? Like this? 76? What's the other name for that producer surplus? What's the other name for it? That's a long run. This is a short run. That's what it's the same way you calculate it, but in the short run, we call it variable profit. That's a variable profit. The variable profit is 309. What is the actual profit? Here will be variable profit minus fixed cost. So the actual profit will be 309.76 minus fixed cost. And the question doesn't give us the fixed cost. So we cannot find the actual profit. If you read the question, there is no fixed cost there. As a result, we don't know what the fixed cost would be, so we cannot identify the actual profit. The only thing we know, there's a producer surplus. So we know the company will operate in the short run, but we don't know the long run. Because we don't know the actual profit. Make sense? Okay, let's take you there. We don't know the actual profit, so we don't know whether firms will come in, join the party, or they leave the market. We don't know that. We know the actual profit. Can we identify the number of firms currently in the industry? Yes, because all firms are identical. So the whole supply in the market is 5,000. Each produces 22. We can know how many firms are in the market currently. That's the number of firms currently in the market. How much is that?
It is 227.
Huh?
227.
22,700. But we don't know whether that will go up or down because we don't know the profit. Currently they're at 227, but we don't know what happens whether a firm will join in, that goes up, or leave the market because we don't know the actual profit. Alright? Make sense? Okay, so two, one long, one short. The best one is this one. This combines both. They give you the full cost structure, you can do the whole thing. This is the better one. It basically have the short run, then it goes to the long run. It has the whole thing. Let's see how it works. Again, solve for the market. Solve for the market. Then go to the firm. That's the demand. That's the supply. Give me the equilibrium. What's the equilibrium price? First. What is 96,000 divided by 4,500? 96,000. 5,400. I need the price. 17. Was it 70?
17.78. 17.78.
70. So take that one, put it in either of these two, put it in a supply, that's easier. Get the quantity. What's the quantity? I need the quantity, yeah. Big number, I know that. 80.
81,776.
Yes?
No, 76.
26. That's that. This is the firm. All firms are identical. The question says all firms are identical. There is no economic firm there. They're all identical. So, representing firm has this marginal cost. They take the price and they produce. Put this equal to 17.78. So the firm produces how much? 17.78. Currently, given that price, that is how much each firm produces. Right? Make sense? Okay. Since we have a full cost structure, I can actually calculate the profit for the firm. Right? I can see how much the firm produces and how much profit it generates. That's the total revenue for the firm, which is 17.78 multiplied by 17.78. That's the revenue. The total cost is 500 plus 17.78 squared 200. What's the profit for each firm then? If this is zero, you're in equilibrium. If this is not zero, you're not in equilibrium. So I want to see if the firm is in equilibrium or not. We calculate the profit. That will tell us whether the industry is in equilibrium or not. Right? What's the profit? Is it more than zero, less than zero, or zero? Anyone? I know it's more than zero. How much was it? 15,000 and change, somewhere there? Just around the 307, 306. 6. This is more than zero. So you know more firms will join. So that's economic profit. This is economic profit. Right? Okay. Currently the number of firms is how much? Currently the number of firms is, the whole number is 81,776. Each one is producing 17.78. So currently that is the number of firms in the industry, but it will go up. We know it goes up. Good. They're generating money. How many firms are in the industry now? That is the number of firms currently in the industry, but we know it's going to go up. How much is that one?
46.
46. So it's going to go up. I solve for A and more. B. We're not in the long run equilibrium because this is more than zero. Firm will join in, it will be more than 46 until there is no economic profit. And there will be no economic profit when marginal cost is equal to the average cost, i.e. at the shutdown point. The marginal cost was this. That's the marginal cost. The average cost is take this one, divide by Q, the average cost is this one. The shutdown point is when these two are equal. solve it, you get this one. So the shutdown quantity will be square root of 200 multiplied by 500. How much is that? That's a shutdown quantity. How much is that? That's the only time, the only place where there is no economic profit. What's the shutdown quantity? 3-1? Like this? Like this? So I found a shutdown quantity. I put the shutdown quantity in the marginal cost as before to find the shutdown price. That would be 316.23 divided by 100, which is 3.16. So firm will join in. The price, they drive the price all the way down to there. Make sense? From there will be no economic profit. That will be the equilibrium. Right? Okay, see, let's see what I did graphically. I got the average cost, I found the shutdown quantity. That was 316.23. Right? Then I got the shutdown price, that was 316. Right? What's the next step? Go to the market, see what the demand will be at that price. So I need that one now. Because I know the supply will shift to match it. The supply will shift out to match it. Okay, so the next step is take the demand, put 3.16 in it, give me new equilibrium. This is useless now. That's the old supply. You cannot use it. I use the demand to get the quantity. The supply is shifting out. I cannot use the second one anymore. That's the old supply. That's this one. Not useful. What would be the new demand at that price? Anyone? What's the new demand at that price? Go there and give it a new demand. I need a new demand at that price. Let me open the page. Anyone? It's 90,000 and change. I know that, but I don't know how much. Did you get it? The demand, which is equal to the new supply, is how much? Is 96,000 minus 800, 3.1623, I guess. Yes. Was it 800? Yes. What do you got?
93,470.4.
It's fine, let's round it. Right? So now I can find the new number of firms, which is the overall supply divided by how much each firm produces. That's the new number of firms. What would be that one? Graphically, I found this one. I divide by this one to get the number of firms. Right? How many firms are there? 200? 96. That's right? That's what I remember it. So the new entrant would be, there's 296 firms now in the market. There were 46 before. 250 join in. That's the reason price drives down, is driven down. Right? Yeah, 250 firms joining in. That's the reason the supply shifts out so much and the price drops. Right? Make sense? Anyway, that's the best one because that takes you from the short run to the long run. The other ones were sort of mixed. This is the best one. And a version of this one is on your quiz. Right, this was on the final tip. Not very hard if you actually have done a couple of answer is actually very simple. Right? Make sense? Okay. We'll take a break. There are two more, but we'll take a break for the time being. Let's take a break. Let me make this more if you want to.